Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahabushai, Bahasham, Brakaha Kwadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahabushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who ruled and teach well, and whom I learned this truth from. In peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Matthew chapter 24, verse 6. And this was Yahawashi Hamashayak, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus Christ, telling his disciples of some of the end-time signs to look for before his second coming, the end of the age of the rulership of the heathen nations, and the ushering in of the kingdom of heaven. And as it says in Romans chapter 15, everything written aforetime was written for our learning. While Yahawashi was speaking to his disciples in the past, he was really talking to his disciples today who are living in these times of the end of this age of the rulership of the heathens, chiefly of the biblical Edomites, or so-called white people, who were the nation that was in power during the times of Yahawashi, and it's going to be that same nation that's going to be in power when he makes his second coming. The times of Yahawashi's second coming, and the time of the ushering in of the kingdom of heaven under the true children of Israel, who are known as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today. And if you've got that spiritual eye salve, you can clearly see that these end-time signs are either in the process of taking place or taking place as we speak. But as it says in verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. And we clearly have been hearing of wars. You've got the war in Ukraine right now. You had the war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq, the Syrian civil war, the Libyan civil war, the war in Yemen, and rumors of wars. Further escalations in Ukraine, talks of nuclear war between Russia in the West, as well as between China and the U.S., war in Taiwan, between Taiwan and China, war between Israel and Iran, war between North Korea and South Korea, etc., etc. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet, and the end won't truly come, and Yahawashi won't make his second coming until the charagma, the MARKOFTHEBEAST in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 18, which is the RFID/NFC MICROCHIPIMPLANT is mandatorily implemented. But I opened up the video with this verse to preface an article from endoftheamericandream.com titled, China is preparing for war. I will give you one guess who the primary opponent will be. And this article is just going to further show that we truly are living in the times of wars and rumors of wars. Chinese President Xi Jinping has just announced that China will be preparing for war, and that should deeply alarm all of us. Needless to say, nobody is going to be attacking China anytime soon. So why would the Chinese need to prepare for war if there is zero chance that they will be attacked? Unfortunately, the answer is obvious. The only reason China would be engaged in a military conflict anytime soon is if it chooses to invade Taiwan. The moment such an invasion is launched, the United States and China will be at war. The Chinese know this, but Chinese President Xi Jinping is going ahead with preparations for war anyway. China will focus on preparing for war with the country's security increasingly unstable and uncertain, President Xi Jinping has declared. Beijing will now comprehensively strengthen its military training and preparation for any war, Xi said today, according to state broadcaster CCTV. This is the very first time in decades that China has been on a war footing. Wars and rumors of wars. And again, we're living in the last days, really the last seconds of the last days. Not too long ago, the Chinese were our new best friends, and we were doing all that we could to deepen trading relationships with them. Now our economy is deeply, deeply dependent on goods from China, and once a military conflict erupts, that flow of goods will come to a grinding halt. So let us hope that such a war does not materialize anytime soon. But Abarataza, that this war between China and Taiwan takes place as quickly as possible, because it's just going to further corrode the world and the structures that are set up out here. Sadly, it has become exceedingly clear that Chinese President Xi Jinping is strongly considering the option of reuniting with Taiwan by force. Xi's announcement that China will focus on preparing for a war will raise fears that the nation may invade the self-governing island of Taiwan, which Beijing claims as its own. China, which has the second largest economy and military in the world, has repeatedly threatened to annex Taiwan by force if necessary. A lot of people out there seem to assume that a conflict with China is not an imminent threat. But just last month, the top-ranking officer in the U.S. Navy warned that it could come as soon as this year. Last month, U.S. Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Michael Gilday, warned that China could take Washington and the world by surprise and invade Taiwan as soon as this year. Amid the military exercises by air and sea of Taiwan's coast, Admiral Gilday said, "It's not just what Xi Jinping says, it's how the Chinese behave and what they do. What we've seen over the past 20 years is that they have delivered on every promise they've made earlier than they said they were going to deliver on it." Personally, I don't think that we will see war between the United States and China in 2022, but 2023 is a very real possibility. And it turns out that many officials in Japan also see the need to prepare for a coming conflict with China. So not just rumors of war between China, Taiwan, and the US, but rumors of war between China and Japan. If China were to attack Taiwan, it wouldn't just have to face a hostile superpower. It would also likely have to confront its long-standing regional rival, Japan. For centuries, Japan and China have vied for hegemony in East Asia. At times, they have threatened each other's survival. Today, as I found from 3 days of meetings with Japanese officials and analysts in Tokyo, the threat of Chinese aggression is producing a quiet revolution in Japanese statecraft and pushing the nation to get ready for a fight. Tensions just continue to intensify month after month. As I discuss in my brand new book, eventually a breaking point will be reached. Meanwhile, North Korea and South Korea are also getting closer to war. In recent days, North Korea has test-fired over 30 missiles, and that includes an ICBM, which prompted an evacuation alert in northern Japan. The North has test-fired more than 30 missiles this week, including an intercontinental ballistic missile Thursday, which triggered an evacuation alert in northern Japan, a response to an aerial military exercise between South Korea and the U.S. Of course, North Korea has test-fired lots of missiles before, but in this case, the North Koreans are actually admitting that they just conducted simulated strikes on South Korea. North Korea said on Monday that its recent missile launches were simulated strikes on South Korea, and the United States, as the two countries held a dangerous war drill, while the South said it had recovered parts of a North Korean missile near its coast. War between North Korea and South Korea is coming. Rumors of war right now between North Korea and South Korea. It remains to be seen if it's going to become a straight war, But my personal opinion is that it won't happen until China invades Taiwan first. And of course, we can't forget about the Russians. Speaking of missile tests, it is being reported that the Russians will soon conduct another test of the new RS-28 Sarmat. Russia is reportedly plotting to test fire an intercontinental ballistic missile for a second time. Moscow first tested the RS-28 Sarmat in April. It is capable of carrying 10 or more warheads and decoys, striking targets at 16,000 miles per hour. And this is a nuclear missile. Russian politician Alexei Zarulyov previously threatened to use the deadly weapon as Finland and Sweden were poised to join NATO. Rumors of war, of nuclear conflict, that will become a real war. Nuclear weapons will be used during World War III. He said Satan II could hit the UK in 200 seconds if fired from Russia's European province, Kaliningrad. And there's also rumors of war between Russia and the UK. Russia says it has evidence that British special forces and intelligence services had something to do with the Nord Stream pipelines getting blown up, and they also had something to do with that bridge in Crimea blowing up. And then I just watched a video from Full Spectrum Survival where he was talking about how British special forces are in the US doing military drills with the US military in the Mojave Desert, preparing for a possible war against Russia. It has been claimed that a single RS-28 Sarmat possesses enough firepower to destroy an area the size of Texas. The U.S. does not have anything comparable. In fact, the aging Minuteman missiles that currently form the backbone of the U.S. strategic nuclear arsenal are not scheduled to be replaced by something new until sometime around 2030. With the way things are looking, this place doesn't have until 2030. Slovakia. Unfortunately, the world will look completely different by 2030. And it's looking like it's going to look completely different during 2023 as well. I believe that World War III has already begun, and several new conflicts are likely to erupt over the next 12 months. Wars and rumors of wars. In this article, I haven't even talked about Israel and Iran. Personally, I think that is probably the most likely conflict to erupt next. And hey, World War III will take place, according to prophecy. This is Revelation chapter 9, verse 12. One woe or destruction is past, referring to World War I. And behold, there come two woes more hereafter. World War II, which is past, and World War III, which is quickly coming, and will go nuclear. And hey, it can be said that we're in the beginning stages of World War III right now. But the main part of World War III, the battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, the War of Armageddon over in that Middle Eastern region, which you can read about in Joel chapter 3, won't truly happen until that charagma is mandatorily implemented. Again, all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong, as we can clearly see we're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom. Hey, Shalom Akim, I just wanted to add this little addendum to the video with this article from TheGuardian.com titled, Russia-Ukraine War Live, Missile Strike in Poland, likely an accident by Ukrainian air defense, says Warsaw. Polish president says no sign that incident was part of an intentional attack. NATO says Russia bears responsibility for Polish missile incident. And yesterday, there was a stray missile that landed in Poland on the Polish-Ukrainian border, and it was initially said that it was a Russian missile, and it killed 2 Polish civilians. And there was speculation that Article 5 of NATO could be instituted, which states that if one NATO member is attacked, then other NATO members are going to come to its defense. And there are a bunch of hashtags going out dealing with World War III, saying that, hey, this could be it to draw on these NATO nations against Russia. And even Poland was talking about instituting Article 4, which deals with them doing an investigation in on it. But as we can see from this article, hey, it says the missile was an accident by Ukrainian air defenses instead of by Russia. But again, this goes into the wars and rumors of wars. There was a short rumor of war that this was a Russian attack on Poland that could drag in the other NATO nations in against Russia on the side of Ukraine and Poland. Hey, everything's on a hair trigger right now. Missile strike in Poland, probably an unfortunate accident by Ukrainian air defense, says President. Poland's President, Andrzej Duda, has said the missile that landed in his country and killed 2 people appears to be an unfortunate accident. It was highly probable that the rocket, which was Russian-made, was used by the Ukrainian air defense, he added. There were no grounds to believe that the missile incident was an intentional attack, Duda said, or that the rocket was launched by the Russian side. That's pretty much it with this article. You get the point. But Shalom, Akim.